All right, guys. So we're about to now go over the first pattern. Now, I know this pattern is probably not the best pattern to go over with starting off, but we're going to go over it because we already have it in the Discord. And this is a common pattern that we see on a day-to-day basis. So the pattern that we're going to go over right now is called the inverse head and shoulders. Inverse head and shoulders. Put this in your notes, guys. A inverse head and shoulders is a bullish candlestick pattern, right? Put this in your notes. This is a bullish candlestick pattern. This candlestick pattern is commonly found after we have a sell-off, right? This is commonly found after a sell-off, a inverse head and shoulders. So let's go draw what an inverse head and shoulders look like. So over here, an inverse head and shoulders, we have a move down, we have a move up, right? Another move down, another move up, another move down, another move up. Okay, trading view, don't start that today, right? So how do the inverse head and shoulders look like this? Well, let's go over it real quick. The inverse head and shoulders is basically literally what it is. It's a head and two shoulders, right? So that is the characteristics you're looking for. They're commonly found at a downtrend. People are like, Jay, how do I find chart patterns? There's commonly after a sell-off. Found after a sell-off in a downtrend or a downtrend or just a sell-off in general. So understanding that characteristics, that's how you find these patterns, guys. Some of you guys just want to get on the charts and try to find something. No, you have to understand the characteristics that's going to help you find the pattern a lot faster. So right off the bat, can we see a inverse head and shoulders on this chart? And if we can, how many of them can we see? 2, 3. Hold on. I don't see 3. Oh, I do see 3. All right, I do see 3. I see the third one. Okay, so right off the bat, a lot of you guys already see them. So how do we find it? After a sell-off. So let's go ahead and draw it real quick, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put y'all over here. All right, so let's draw it. So the first one we have is number 1, we have this sell-off, right? Now, this one is a little more choppy, but overall, we have a nice little sell-off, right? And that's when we start making the pattern. So let me grab it real quick. Hold on, y'all. Let me delete this. This pattern is going to take practice, but practice. And I will, now this is chart pattern. I love chart patterns. So if I have to do 30 classes over this, I will. All right. So right now, I don't want you focusing on the actual trend line with it. Right now, I want you guys to focus on actually just drawing the pattern. Right. So here we go. We have a starting right here. We have a move down, right? Everybody can check that. Everybody see that move down. This is a bullish pattern. Did everybody see this move down right here? Right? Let me make it bigger so that way everybody can kind of see. Okay. Actually, let me change the color for the people that are like, Jay, I can't see. Okay, I'm not changing the color. All right, so we go here. We have our first color because I don't like the way it looked. We come down here, we have the head. Come up here, we have the shoulder. Come down here, and then boom. Right? Did everybody see this? All right, now let me give you some game real quick that I guaranteed you nobody ever taught you. And if they did, let me know. Let me know if anybody ever taught you this. Let me know. If they did, I don't know, I got a prize for you. Okay, so the one way that I identify a nice way to like tell like how strong of a head and shoulders, I'm gonna show y'all the entries and everything in a minute, but let me show y'all something that's gonna, this is a little gem for you. Make sure y'all pay attention to this, right? So in an inverse head and shoulders, do y'all see the low of this first shoulder? Do y'all see that? I want y'all to see this. This is a gem for you guys right quick. Okay, so y'all have the low. So that low is right here, right? So let me draw that low real quick. That low is right here. So most people think that it's not an inverse head and shoulders until it come touch that low, right? And that's why most people don't see it because they're looking to see the lows match equally. Let me give you a little quick gem right here. If price cannot reach the low of that shoulder, that means the sellers were not strong enough to even bring price back down there. So that is an extremely bullish sign that once it does break out, it's going to have a huge breakout because sellers weren't even strong enough to bring it back to that previous low, right? So that's how you know that it's going to be a nice run up if we can't even touch the previous shoulder low, right? The same way for a head and shoulders at the same thing. Does that make sense? So right here, it was supposed to come here, but it did not. Sellers were not strong enough to bring it back down there. So it stopped here. And that's why we had this huge move up from 408 all the way to 411.50, right? So keep that in mind. So if it does not go that low, then that obviously means this is going to be a nice run up. Keep that in mind. And, you know, that was a quick legit. Have anybody ever taught you that? Let me know in the chat. Anybody ever taught y'all that? All right, good, man. There you go. If you say, somebody said yes, you gotta go. You gotta get out of here. You gotta go. You gotta go. Your mentor was actually a good mentor, Dan. I'm not doing a good job. All right, so that was the first inverse head and shoulders that we seen, right? I want you to focus on that before you start focusing on the other stuff, right? So that's number one. Everybody seen that one? We all good? I'm gonna show the neckline right now. I just want y'all to identify the actual shoulders first, okay? Because my necklines are a little more advanced, but right now we're just getting over the shoulders first, okay? And you're going to this pattern. People just ask me. This pattern is very, very, very common. You're going to see it all the time, so that's why you need to know it. Next, remember, what are the characteristics of finding the inverse head and shoulders? What is the characteristics? After a sell-off. So boom, we have a sell-off, a downtrend, right? So now, here we go. We can create it. There we go. Okay. And you're going to have to practice this, guys. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a little minute. It took me about, for me to get good with this, it took me about 2 weeks, okay? But that's because I was putting in the work. So, yep, the 1 minute chart at school, right? 1 minute chart at school. You're going to see them a lot on the 1 minute chart. Yes, I see these a lot. Actually, if I see them more commonly on the 1 minute chart, and that's my first sign of taking a reversal, right? But I'm just showing you, you can find them on any chart. They're common on every chart, right? But I see them a lot on the 1 minute chart to time a reversal, right? Yes, I'm on the 1 minute right now because they show a little better on the 1 minute. But this is a good thing. Oh, I'm glad somebody said this. I'm glad somebody said this. I see patterns less clearly on TOS. This is facts. This is facts. This is why I have been using. This is why I have been using TradingView a lot more now, because that is true. For some reason, it's just TOS. The patterns are a lot harder to see. So if I were you, I will move on to TradingView if you can, and then just still keep your execution on TOS. But I'm being honest with you guys. I cannot see these patterns on TOS, even to this day. Like maybe every now and then, but they're not as clear on TOS, being honest with you guys. Yeah, TradingView just makes it cleaner. Okay. So that's number two. And I'm gonna get it drawing the necklines in a minute. But is everybody starting to see how it works though? Like the inverse head and shoulders? If you're not, let me know. I know this take time, right? And I'm gonna show y'all entries and stuff in a minute. But let's go over. We got one more right here. It's my favorite pattern. One of my favorites. So sometimes you got to draw it just to see if you're forcing it, because sometimes we force these patterns. So that's not the start. That one doesn't look like you want it. Like I told you, with anything I do in trading, I want it to be pretty, right? If it ain't pretty, I don't want to trade it. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with this one. When I draw it, it ain't pretty to me, so I don't want it. But let me show you real quick. Bro. Trading view is so annoying. Do you have to pay extra? I'm not sure. I mean, I pay whatever it is. I have the pro. I'm not sure though. I just naturally just pay stuff. Real time data is like actually like showing you the price moving in real time. $2 only. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But if you're serious, yeah, if you're serious about trading, guys, if it's $2, I will definitely pay that, right? This is your charts we're talking about. This is literally you reading something like this is your chart. So okay. So right here, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't really like this inverse head and shoulders right here. Do anybody know why I don't really like this one? Do anybody know why I don't like this one too much? Trying to force that one. It's really just chopping. Like there's just really like it's just ranging right here in this area. It's not really making any moves, right? So that's another thing that you want to do. That's why once it broke out, it kind of just immediately sold off. So it was like one of those things where I don't really like stuff like this. Like versus here, y'all see how clean that was right here? Y'all see how clean this was versus trying to draw it right there. You want to keep it clean. Is that a regular head and shoulder? Yeah, we're gonna go over regular head and shoulders, but yeah, we're sticking on this one right now. Okay. So should we look for aggressive moves? Basically, you want to see like price actually making a inverse head and shoulders, right? You want to see a nice aggressive bounces and stuff like that, right? You don't want to see too much chop going on. Okay. So that's that. So as far as entries go, there's different ways to enter on this one. You have a lot of different ways to enter on inverse head and shoulders. Let me make sure I watch the time here. Okay. So the ways to enter on inverse head and shoulder. So once you identify that it's a potential inverse head and shoulder, right? Once you have identified that, you have two ways to trade this, right? Number one is if we come back to this low, right? This support level while it's making that shoulder, right? If it would have came back to that shoulder, you're gonna have like you can be so basically you're gonna have a level right there. So let me make sure I make this make sense, right? I don't confuse nobody. When drawing, let me take it off the price action. Let me move over to a clear chart. Let me just move over. Okay, trading. Okay, let me move over real quick so I can show y'all the entry real quick. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna move over here. So there's different ways to trade an inverse head and shoulders. The right way is to trade the breakout, but that's totally, subjective. So here we go. We have that first shoulder, right? So this is in the perfect world. Okay. So you have different entries. So right here, let's say that this was a support level, right? And you had the inverse head and shoulders drawn, and then you start seeing buyers step in or kind of like, just basically we holding this level, then that could be a potential entry to take that support bounce. And then with a stop loss, where will my stop loss be placed? Anybody know where my stop loss would be placed if I enter right here on this support bounce? Below support, right? My stop loss would be below support, just below, literally. So now when I go draw my risk to reward box, it will look like this, right? Oh, that's what it's doing. Okay. Trading you get on my nerves. Okay. So your box will look pretty much like this, right? We have our stop loss right below. And then where will our target be? Where would our target be? At the neckline, right? So here we go. This would be the neckline up here, going right across, right? So that's just how your trade will look. And you will basically let price action do its thing until you get to your target, right? As long as it don't break below this red box, you're in the trade. That's one entry, right? That's one entry. This is actually a very common entry that I take. It's just been hard to time them because they don't always come down to the same shoulder. But that is where I just set my alerts for whenever I see this pattern, and I normally go from there. Is that neckline? Yes, the neckline is normally a resistance level, and that's kind of what happens on these patterns. Don't like to break out sometimes, depending on the market. So what normally happens is we normally will have that neckline right here. That's a resistance level. And normally what happens is price will go up and then reject back down, right? That's normally what happens. So if you're buying in right here, and yeah, it does end up creating a double top, right, to come down. It's all about market structure, right? So as far as entries go, you can buy the support bounce right here. Or if you're a bearish trader, you see the inverse head and shoulders, we notice the resistance. You can take sales right here, because what did that create? That created your double top, right? Or if you're not in a bearish scenario, and let's say that price breaks out. So let's go here. If you didn't catch that entry, let's say that price breaks out, right? Normally what I like to do is I like to wait for a retest of that level, right? Breaks a break and retest, right? And then I take entries there. So there's different ways to take entries, right? Then boom. Okay. Are we waiting on the candle to close below for a stop? Guys, I've already taught you guys about stop losses. As far as that goes, you can do candles breaking below, or we go more into stop losses, or just have an actual price target set below. I don't like to do candles close below sometimes, just because normally when price breaks that area, it's going to go down pretty quickly. So waiting for a candle to goes below, it could be a huge candle, right? And it can, do some damage. So normally it just depends. But we have a stop loss class next week. But I normally do my stop loss based off of money wise rather than chart wise now in this market, just because these pullbacks really be hurting, right? Like, you wait for a break below that, you already could potentially be down 50%, right? So I just rather, trade it a different way. So the person that just sent me that private DM, I didn't even realize that, but that is totally fine. That's totally fine. No, this not that one. What if the second low is higher than the first shoulder? Yeah. Okay. So I know y'all have a lot of questions as far as chart patterns. So let's do it this way, right? This is just one of our entries, right? Now, the next question was, what if we just have an example where the shoulder, let's delete that. What if we have an example where the shoulder does not come back down to that one? Well, understand this, guys, we would not be able to time that, right? We wouldn't know that. So what happens is, if we were to have a move like this, where it doesn't break there and it just sends, then can anybody guess what my entry would then be? So you can have, so like I said, breakout is fine. So you can trade the breakout if you want to, right? That's totally fine. If the lower time frames is showing the breakout, you can catch a breakout, you can. You got that breakout, or you have the retest, right? So you have two entries, right? So your entries depends on the situation. I can't tell you like, oh, what's the best entry? It just depends on the actual trade itself, right? You can trade the breakout, or you can trade the retest. It's totally up to you. So that's the ways that you trade this pattern in general, right? Yeah, did this make sense? Is everybody understanding this one? Okay, so let's go to another one. Okay, so then we go over head and shoulders tomorrow. We're going to do head and shoulders tomorrow because it don't take that long to learn patterns, so we can knock it out tomorrow as well. So now, as far as drawing so people ask me all the time, Jay, what about drawing the neckline? Because not every neckline is going to be straight, right? So you will have necklines like this, where we have the move down, right? Okay. This is a little more advanced. It's going to take some practice, but we have this right here, right? Still the head and shoulders, right? This is what I want you guys to do, though, to notice stuff like this, right? It's really the trend line stuff that you already learned, but also understand this, guys. What is the main thing I tell you guys to do on a chart pattern or just anything? Look for the what? What do I tell you for candlesticks? No, not pivots. If I'm, what do I tell you to look for? If you're using a candlestick pattern, a chart pattern, anything, what am I telling you? The characteristics, right? So the characteristics of a inverse head and shoulders is the sell off, and then we creating shoulders, right? We're creating a head and shoulders, right? So regardless how the neckline looks, it still does it still have those characteristics of an inverse head and shoulders? Right? Regardless how the neckline looks, right? We still have the characteristics. So that's how you keep this pattern. That's how you trade this pattern. It don't matter if the chart pattern looks like, if the neckline is like this. If you have a shoulder, as long as you have that, the shoulders and the heads, it don't matter. Now, we're going to get onto this. We have an advanced class coming up after our stop loss class where you will start seeing me draw stuff like this. I don't even feel like drawing it right now, but we have stuff like this. We're not going to go over that today. I'm not trying to do all that TI. I want y'all to find, first of all, focus on finding them. But we do have times where we have something like this, where forgot how I even drew it. How did I even draw this pattern? Hold on, y'all. It's so different when I'm trying to actually draw without a chart. Hold on. Stuff like this. I don't even know how I drew it. Hold on, y'all. I'm messing up right now. I can't even think of an example, right? Because they be just, it's like my eyes are trained to already just know. Let me see. I'm gonna try to do one for y'all real quick, just to show y'all the example. What is it one? What did I see one on today? The advanced ones. They be like stuff like this. Oh, I'm gonna just draw one of them looking. Ooh, did I draw that right? Bear with me, y'all. I'm trying to make sure I draw this right. Let me make sure this is even it. Yeah, this is it. It just looked weird because of the charts, but yeah. Ooh, this looks so ugly. That's what I'm saying. Don't worry about this. We got a whole advanced class on this one, but it has a shoulder. It looks so much better when I draw it on price. We have a shoulder, head, and a shoulder. Characteristics still look there, guys. A little bit. Characteristics still there. That's all I'm trying to see. We have an advanced class over this, but overall, characteristics still look the same, right? We still have the shoulders and the head. So regardless how it look and how advanced it gets, I know this is probably the ugliest thing that y'all seeing right now, but it's okay. I'm going to teach y'all how to do it. But overall, don't worry about this right now. Don't focus on making the regular shoulders, and then we'll start making stuff like this. So, other than that, like I said, we can go more over. Oh my God, we can go more. We're going more over head and shoulders tomorrow. I have an extra class for that. But other than that, guys, I'm going to let you know. Yes, that's the neckline the way. I'm gonna show y'all all tomorrow. But I'm going to let you guys go today. But I want you guys to practice drawing inverse head and shoulders. And actually, instead of putting them in the homework tab, I want you guys to come into the head and shoulders tab and start drawing them. And the reason why, you're going to see these patterns a lot. But other than that, guys, I hope you had a good class today. Chart patterns, we're going to have to go over this a couple of times till you get it right. But the reason why I'm ending class a little early, well, it's not early, but the reason I'm ending class right now is because I actually want to see your examples first. Then tomorrow, how I want to do it. Please, guys, go in tonight and find examples. Tomorrow, I want to come on here, and then I want to bring up your examples to the class, and I want to show them, like, okay, is this an inverse head and shoulders? Is this not? That's how I want to do this class when it comes to chart patterns. I want to see different examples. And yes, this will be tomorrow. I'm going to host a class tomorrow. This class will last probably about 30, 45 minutes. It's just an extra class, right? If you work tomorrow, that's totally fine. You're not going to be missing out anything too much, where I just want to add an extra class in there. to go over some examples from the class. Same time. All the classes will definitely be the same time. Just inverse head and shoulders. I don't want no head and shoulders. Just inverse head and shoulders, right? Inverse head and shoulders. We're gonna get over head and shoulders the next day. But see you guys tomorrow. I am thinking about writing a book that might be on the way, an ebook or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I know I actually hate selling stuff, so. But yeah, knowing me, I'll probably make it like $5, knowing me. But but I'm gonna make something. So other than that, see you guys tomorrow and have a great night.